Claire stood alone in the tasting room of her vineyard, watching the afternoon sun pour through the tall windows like melted gold. The warm light danced across the polished oak floors, making the whole place glow. The familiar scent of earth, oak barrels, and fermenting grapes wrapped around her like an old friend. 7 years earlier, she had poured every dollar she had saved from her consulting job into this land. Her family had called her crazy. Her mother said it was a waste. Her sister, Emily, laughed in her face. But now the vineyard was worth millions, and Claire had proven them wrong. She walked slowly through the rows of vines, touching the heavy clusters of Cabernet grapes that would be ready in 6 weeks. The evening air carried the soft sounds of settling birds. Mark, her vineyard manager, had already gone home, so Claire enjoyed the quiet walk alone. Her phone buzzed once, then twice, then a third time. She tried to ignore it, but curiosity won. When she checked the screen, she saw 3 missed calls from her mother and 2 messages asking, "When will you be home?" Claire sighed. That house wasn't home anymore, but she knew she would have to go. She drove to her parents' house that evening, more out of duty than desire. The ranch-style house looked exactly the same. Perfect lawn, glowing porch lights, and her father's old car parked beside Emily's white sedan. Claire parked behind them and sat for a moment, gathering strength. When she entered, she heard excited voices from the kitchen. As she stepped closer, she heard Emily say, "The vineyard will be perfect. Imagine 300 guests walking through the vines." Her mother replied warmly, "Claire owns the place and family is family. She'll understand." Claire froze in the hallway, stunned that they had planned everything without asking her. Emily's voice rose with excitement. "Sunset by the oak trees. It'll look like a magazine shoot." Her mother laughed softly. "Of course. She can't say no. She owes it to the family." Claire's stomach tightened. She had worked herself nearly to the bone to build the vineyard, and now they spoke about it as if it were a community park. Her father's voice joined in. "We should probably tell Claire soon. The wedding is only 3 months away." Claire stepped back, breathing slowly. She wanted to burst into the kitchen and shout, but she stayed calm. She needed to see how far they would go. She walked into the kitchen with a bright, practiced smile. "Hi everyone. Sorry I'm late." Her mother hugged her tightly. "We were just talking about you, darling." Emily stepped forward, her eyes shining. "Ryan proposed. We're getting married in October." Claire smiled politely. "That's wonderful news." Emily clasped her hands. "And Mom had an amazing idea. We want to have the wedding at your vineyard." Her mother nodded eagerly. "It would mean so much to the family, Claire." Claire's smile faded slightly. 300 guests. In October, Emily said. "It'll be perfect. You're not even using it that day." Claire almost laughed at the boldness. Claire looked from her mother to Emily, noticing her father's uneasy expression. "Let me think about it," she said calmly. Emily's face tightened. "Think about it. Claire, I'm your sister." Claire nodded slowly. "I know. But October is my busiest season. Harvest, tours, contracts. It isn't a free weekend." Her mother waved a hand. "Oh, Claire, surely you can shift things a little. Family comes first." Claire felt the familiar pressure return, the old expectation that she would bend because Emily wanted something. "I said I'll think about it," she repeated. The tension in the room rose like heat off the kitchen tiles. Dinner that evening felt like walking through a minefield. Emily barely looked at Claire. Her mother kept dropping hints about flowers, caterers, and color themes, each comment another push. Claire kept her voice calm, but inside she burned. After leaving the house, she sat in her car gripping the steering wheel. They had planned everything without her. They hadn't even bothered to ask. Over the next week, the pressure became unbearable. Her mother called every day. Emily sent long messages accusing her of lacking love. Even Aunt Rose, who hadn't spoken to Claire in years, called to say she was being selfish. The real shock came on Tuesday afternoon. Claire returned from a meeting to find her mother's car parked near the tasting room. Dread twisted in her stomach. She walked into the vineyard and saw her mother, Emily, and a stranger pointing at different areas of the property. "Mom, Emily, what are you doing here?" Claire asked. Her mother smiled brightly. "Perfect timing. Claire, this is Helen, our wedding planner." Claire's jaw tightened. "Wedding planner? You brought a planner onto my property without asking." Emily shrugged. "You said you'd think about it. We assumed that meant yes." Claire stared at them in disbelief. Helen instantly sensed the tension. "Perhaps I should wait outside," she murmured. "Yes," Claire said firmly. When Helen left, Claire turned back to her family. "This is unacceptable. You're making decisions about my business without permission." Emily crossed her arms. "It's family land." "No, it's not," Claire said sharply. "It's mine. My name is on the deed. My money built it." Her mother frowned. "We supported you when you bought this place." Claire felt her patience snap. "You told me I was making a mistake. You said I would fail. That's not support. That's discouragement." Emily's face reddened with anger. "So you're saying no?" her mother asked. Claire exhaled slowly. "I'm saying I need time to consider everything. October is complicated." Emily stepped closer, trying to smile. "But you'll let us do it, right?" Claire forced her expression neutral. "I'm not promising anything. I'll give you an answer next week." Emily threw her arms around her. "Thank you. This is going to be perfect." Claire stood stiffly, barely returning the embrace. After they left, she walked through the vineyard alone, the rows stretching quietly in the fading light. They had shown her exactly how little they respected her. Now she had to decide what to do. The next morning, Claire called her lawyer, Mr. Harris. She explained the situation carefully. Her family's assumptions, their arrival with a planner, and the pressure they were applying. "If I allowed an event this size, what am I facing?" she asked. Mr. Harris explained calmly. "Liability, Claire. Hundreds of guests, alcohol, possible accidents. Without insurance, one incident could cost you everything." Claire swallowed hard. "And insurance?" He named an amount that made her eyebrows rise. "That's assuming they'll even cover such a large event on short notice." Claire thanked him and hung up, feeling a cold clarity settle in her chest. She then called her accountant, Mrs. Peterson, who listened to the full story. "Are they paying you a venue fee?" she asked. Claire let out a humorless laugh. "They expect it for free." Mrs. Peterson sighed. "Claire, your vineyard earns real money. Closing it during harvest means losing tours, tastings, and production time. Have you considered the revenue loss?" Claire hadn't. Mrs. Peterson ran the numbers quickly. "You'd lose around $40,000 minimum." Claire stared at the wall, stunned. $40,000. For one day. For one weekend, Mrs. Peterson corrected gently. "You need to protect your business. Family or not." That afternoon, Claire spent hours researching wedding venues in Napa Valley. The prices shocked her. 15 to 50,000, she murmured, scrolling through page after page. Some charged even more for large guest lists. And her family believed they were entitled to her property for free. She shook her head. Unbelievable. As she walked through her Pinot Rose, the late sunlight washed over the vines like warm silk. This vineyard was her life, her work, her sacrifice, her pride. And Emily wanted to march 300 people through it without respect or boundaries. By the time she finished her walk, Claire had made up her mind. Claire called her mother that evening. "I've decided," she said. Her mother sounded relieved. "Wonderful. Emily will be thrilled." Claire took a breath. "I'm saying yes, but with conditions." Silence. Then her mother asked carefully, "What conditions?" "I need everything in writing," Claire said. "A proper contract. Exact guest count. Access areas. Proof of liability insurance. And a refundable deposit of $10,000. Her mother's voice chilled instantly. "A deposit? Claire, we are family. Exactly. And I want to protect our family from disputes if anything goes wrong. Her mother inhaled sharply. We will discuss it, she said, tone sharp again. Claire hung up knowing exactly what was coming next. Her family would explode. They would call her greedy, cold, unloving. But she also knew she was right. The next morning, she visited Mr. Harris in person. I need a contract, she said firmly. Together they spent 2 hours drafting detailed terms. Guest limits, insurance requirements, restricted access zones, damage clauses, time controls, and immediate termination rights if anyone violated the agreement. This is thorough, Mr. Harris said. Most people don't require this for family. Claire shrugged softly. Most families ask before planning an event. He nodded. Fair point. It'll be ready Monday. On Saturday, as Claire repaired irrigation lines with Mark, her phone rang again. Her mother didn't bother with greetings. Claire, we cannot pay $10,000. Your father's business is slow. Claire wiped sweat from her brow. Then Emily should choose a less expensive venue. Her mother gasped. A park. She cannot get married in a park. Claire replied calmly. Then she should prepare to meet the requirements. Her mother's tone grew dramatic. You've become cold. Is this about money? Claire's patience thinned. It's about responsibility. And boundaries. When did you change? Her mother whispered. When my family started treating me like property. The next week the pressure increased. Emily sent long messages filled with guilt. How excited she had been, how Claire was ruining everything, how family should sacrifice. Claire deleted most of them unread. Distant cousins she barely remembered sent judgmental texts. Even Aunt Rose left a voicemail calling her ungrateful. But the silence from her father was the loudest. Claire knew he understood the truth, even if he stayed quiet. One afternoon, Mark approached her gently. Everything okay? Claire nodded weakly. Family trouble. Mark smiled sympathetically. I get it. My sister tried to throw her party at my job once. I had to shut it down. On Wednesday, Emily arrived at the Vineyard unannounced. Mark found Claire in the lab. Your sister's here, he said. Claire sighed deeply and walked to the tasting room. Emily sat at a table, wiping her eyes. We need to talk, she said. Claire folded her arms. I'm listening. Emily's voice cracked. Why are you doing this to me? What did I ever do to deserve this? Claire almost laughed. Emily, you've treated me like an ATM for years. You borrowed money you never paid back. You took credit for my work. And now you're using my property without permission. Emily's tears vanished instantly. Emily's face hardened. You're jealous, she snapped. Claire blinked. Jealous? Yes. Jealous I'm getting married. Jealous people like me. Jealous I'm Mom's favorite. Claire stared at her sister stunned. Not because it was unexpected, but because Emily finally said it out loud. Emily grabbed her purse. You know what? Have it your way. But we're having the wedding here whether you like it or not. It's family land. Claire's voice turned ice cold. Try it, Emily. If you step onto my property without permission, I will call the police. Emily froze, searching Claire's face. For the first time she saw that Claire meant every word. Emily stormed out, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. Claire sank into the chair Emily had vacated, heart pounding. Mark appeared moments later with a glass of cold Chardonnay. Rough day, he asked. Claire nodded. That was my sister. Mark raised an eyebrow. She seems intense. Claire gave a tired laugh. That's one word for it. That evening, while reviewing emails, she spotted something strange. A message from a catering company thanking her for choosing their services for an October event. Claire frowned. She hadn't booked any caterer. When she called them, the manager said cheerfully, "Oh, yes. Your sister Emily confirmed the date weeks ago." Claire gripped the phone tighter. "I didn't authorize anything," she said. The caterer hesitated. "Well, Emily booked it under your Vineyard's name. We already ordered specialty items." There may be cancellation fees. Claire's voice hardened. Send every fee to Emily. She booked without permission. After hanging up, Claire searched through her inbox. Her heart sank. She found confirmations from a florist, a DJ, a photographer, and a rental company, all scheduled for October 12th. All booked under her business name. Unbelievable, Claire whispered. Her sister hadn't just assumed. She had taken action behind her back. It was past disrespect. It was deception. Claire called Emily immediately. Emily answered with an irritated sigh. What now? Claire's voice sharpened. Why are vendors emailing me about bookings I never made? Emily replied carelessly. I was helping. I knew you'd say yes eventually. Claire felt heat rising in her chest. You used my business name without permission. That is fraud, Emily. Fraud? Emily scoffed. Stop being dramatic. You entered contracts pretending to be me. Claire snapped. Emily huffed. Go ahead. Sue your own sister. Make yourself look heartless to everyone. She hung up, leaving Claire staring at her phone, her anger shaking through her fingers like electricity. The next morning, Claire met with Mr. Harris again. She committed fraud, he said plainly after hearing everything. What are my options? Claire asked. You could press charges. But first, I'd recommend sending cease and desist notices to every vendor. Once they learn these bookings weren't authorized, most will cancel. Do it, Claire said. Send them all. Mr. Harris paused. Claire, this will create a massive family conflict. Claire exhaled slowly. The conflict already exists. I'm just finally acknowledging it. Over the next days, vendors called non-stop, some apologetic, some annoyed, but all willing to cancel once they saw her lawyer's letter. But when the rental company asked for written confirmation, and the florist hesitated over lost revenue, Claire realized how deep the mess went. Then the inevitable call came. Her mother, furious. Do you know what you've done? She demanded. Emily is humiliated. All the vendors are calling her. How could you embarrass her like this? Claire pressed her lips together. I didn't embarrass her. She embarrassed herself by lying and planning a wedding on my property without consent. Her mother scoffed. Oh, please. Nobody is going to press charges over a wedding. Claire's voice cooled. I might. And she should hope I don't. Her mother gasped. You would send your own sister to jail. Claire answered calmly. I would protect my business. Her mother's voice broke into angry disbelief. Your grandfather would be ashamed of you. That hit something deep, but Claire pushed past it. Grandpa respected responsibility. He would never support what Emily did. Her mother hung up on her. The next weekend, Claire drove to the cemetery and sat beside her grandfather's grave. I don't know what to do, she whispered. They want everything I built, and they think they're entitled to it. The breeze rustled gently, calming her. She left feeling stronger. On Monday morning, Claire called Mr. Harris. I want the contract, she said. The strongest version we discussed. Mr. Harris sounded surprised. Are you sure? This might end the possibility of hosting the wedding. Claire nodded even though he couldn't see her. I'm counting on it. By that afternoon the contract arrived. It was 12 pages of strict requirements. Guest limits, insurance certificates, refundable deposits, penalties, and immediate cancellation rights. Claire printed the papers and had them delivered to her parents' house by courier. Then she waited, knowing the reaction would come fast. Did. But it wasn't the call she expected. Her father called first, something he hadn't done once throughout the entire ordeal. Claire, he began, this contract is absurd. Claire kept her tone steady. It's standard for event venues. He exhaled heavily. A $10,000 deposit. Strict access zones. Penalties. Claire, this is family. Family doesn't ignore boundaries, she replied. Her father lowered his voice. Your mother thinks you're being difficult. Claire's chest tightened. Dad, have any of you considered what this wedding would cost me? The losses. The risks. Silence. Then her father admitted quietly. They should have asked you first. But you could be more flexible. Claire shook her head. I have been flexible, Claire said. I agreed to consider hosting. I just asked for protection. Her father sounded weary. 10,000 is a lot, Claire. So is losing my business, she answered. Why is everyone acting like I'm a villain for running my business responsibly? Her father hesitated. Because we're used to you saying yes. The word struck Claire hard. Used to her saying yes. Used to her bending. Used to her being the quiet one. I'm not that person anymore, she said softly. Her father sighed. I'll talk to your mother. But I doubt this will end well. He hung up. 2 weeks passed without a word from her family. Claire focused on harvest season. The humming equipment, the smell of crushed grapes, the long hours that reminded her why she loved this place. The quiet from her family felt strange but peaceful. Then, on September 15th, her mother finally called. We've decided to agree to your contract, she said stiffly. Claire almost dropped her phone. What? Emily will pay the deposit. We're handling the insurance. Everything will be ready by Friday. Claire frowned. Something felt wrong. Her family didn't give in this easily. I'll need the signed documents and proof of insurance, she answered. On Friday at exactly 2 p.m., Emily arrived at the Vineyard holding a folder. She looked different, less confident, more tired. She placed the folder on Claire's desk. Inside were the signed contract, a valid insurance certificate, and a cashier's check for $10,000. Everything was legally perfect. So, we're confirmed? Emily asked quietly. Assuming everything checks out, Claire said. Emily turned to leave, but Claire stopped her. Are we okay? Emily paused and looked back, her expression cold. We're contractually okay, she replied. That's all you wanted, right? Before Claire could answer, Emily walked out, leaving a silence heavier than stone. The next month flew by in a whirlwind of harvest tasks. Claire barely slept, checking sugar levels, supervising early fermentation, managing equipment repairs. Her hands were stained purple, her clothes smelled of grapes and oak, and she felt alive. During this time, her family remained distant. No calls from her mother. No messages from Emily. Not even a quiet update from her father. It was as if she no longer existed to them. 1 week before the wedding, her mother called. We need a final walkthrough, she said. Claire agreed politely, though her stomach tightened. Something about their sudden cooperation still felt wrong. When Emily, her mother, and Helen the planner arrived, the air was thick with tension. Helen did most of the talking, asking about electrical points and parking arrangements. Emily barely looked at Claire. Her mother forced a cheerful smile that didn't reach her eyes. The ceremony will be by the oak grove, Helen said. 300 chairs, aisle runner, and an altar setup. Claire frowned. Are you sure that section fits 300 chairs? Helen nodded confidently. Claire led them through the plans, reception layout, vendor timing, and restroom access. Everything seemed overly organized, almost too perfect, like they were hiding something bigger. Security will arrive at noon on the wedding day, Claire said. Helen blinked. Security. It's in the contract, Claire replied. Her mother exchanged a look with Emily. Isn't that excessive? She asked. I'm protecting the vineyard, Claire answered calmly. Emily muttered under her breath. Protecting it from your own family? Claire ignored the jab. After the walkthrough, they left quickly, and Claire stood alone under the setting sun, feeling the weight of unspoken tension pressing on her chest. Something was coming, something they weren't telling her. She trusted the contract, but she didn't trust her family. Not anymore. Not after everything. October 12th arrived with perfect skies and crisp autumn air. Claire woke at dawn, watched the sunrise over the vines, and felt both anxious and strangely calm. At noon, the security team arrived. 6 officers in uniform, led by Ms. Lewis. Nobody enters without a guest list, Claire reminded her. By 1 p.m., Helen called. We have a small change. The guest list isn't ready. Just let people in for now. Claire's voice turned sharp. Absolutely not. I need the final list by 2 p.m., or there's no event. Helen sighed. Be reasonable. Claire replied. I'm following the contract your client signed. At exactly 2 p.m. no list arrived. Claire called Helen again. No answer. She called Emily. No answer. Then she called her mother. Her mother answered immediately, voice trembling. Claire, please don't cancel. There's been confusion. How many guests? Claire demanded. Silence. Then her mother whispered. 500. Claire laughed bitterly. 500. The contract says 300. We couldn't cut people, her mother pleaded. Everyone is important. Claire's voice hardened. The event is cancelled. Claire, the wedding starts in 4 hours, her mother cried. Don't do this. You did this, Claire replied. You broke the contract. Not me. By 3 p.m. cars lined the entrance. Security stopped every vehicle. People argued, shouted, waved invitations. Some guests tried sneaking around to the service road, but guards blocked them there too. Claire watched from her office window. Her heart pounding but her resolve steady. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Calls from relatives, friends of Emily, even old schoolmates she barely remembered. She answered none. Soon, Emily arrived in a white limousine. Even from afar, Claire saw the rage in her sister's eyes as security denied entry. Emily screamed, pointed wildly, then shockingly tried to climb the fence in her wedding dress. Ms. Lewis rushed to stop her gently. Emily shouted, her voice carrying across the fields even though Claire couldn't hear the words. Claire's father pulled Emily away, and their argument grew so animated that guests began filming it. The florist truck arrived next, followed by the catering van and DJ equipment truck. Each one was turned away. Claire's mother called again, her voice breaking. Claire, please. There are hundreds of people outside. Emily is crying. Let them in. Claire's tone stayed firm. You invited 500 people to a venue approved for 300. You violated every rule. 50 extra people won't hurt, her mother begged. It's not 50, Claire said. It's 400. By 5 p.m., some guests started leaving, shaking their heads and muttering. Others stayed, hoping for a miracle. Emily stood near the gate, makeup streaked from tears, yelling at anyone who would listen about how cold and selfish Claire was. But Claire stayed in her office, recording everything for legal protection. By 6 p.m. the parking area was nearly empty. Only a few stubborn guests lingered. When security left, Claire walked onto her porch. The sunset washed the vineyard in gold and orange. Her land was safe. Her boundaries had held. The silence felt heavy, but it felt right. The next morning, her phone overflowed with insults, angry messages, and dramatic accusations. Claire deleted all of them. At 10 a.m., her mother called. I hope you're proud, she snapped. You destroyed Emily's wedding. Claire replied softly. I enforced a contract she signed. She'll never forgive you. Neither will I, her mother hissed. You chose your vineyard over your family. Claire closed her eyes. No, chose respect. And responsibility. Her mother scoffed. We're done. Claire hung up and felt lighter. The burden she'd carried her whole life, the pressure to bend, to please, to shrink, finally cracked and fell away. In the weeks that followed, Claire focused on her vineyard. Harvest, fermentation, new staff, future plans. The lawsuit Emily filed collapsed instantly, dismissed by the judge with embarrassment. Months later, Claire appeared in a wine magazine, praised for her strength and success. Her father eventually reached out, admitting he understood why she did what she did. Emily married Ryan quietly months later, but her life unraveled. Legal fees, lost friendships, a failing career. Claire didn't celebrate her sister's downfall, but she didn't carry guilt either. She had protected her life's work. She had stood firm. And for the first time she felt completely free.